All right, welcome back to the channel. Gervonta Tank Davis lays down the law to Lomachenko, Haney, the rest of the 135-pound division. Goes off a little bit, man, in an interview. Says that he's the top 135, and the only reason these guys are mentioning his name is because they want a payday because he is for sure the cash cow at 135 pounds. Let's talk about what Gervonta has to say and the truth of it. I'm going to skip to the end of it. I agree with it. The truth of it in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So, Gervonta Tank Davis is the 135-pound regular WBA champion. That is not a belt, my friends. That's not a championship belt. That is a secondary belt that falls underneath the WBA Super Championship belt, which is held by Vasily Lomachenko. So, in the way that I judge things, I don't really count Gervonta Davis as a 135-pound champion. And that is not some issue that I have with Gervonta Davis. That's just issues that I have with the WBA belt. I don't consider Vasily Lomachenko to be the WBC champion because he's got some BS franchise title designation that nobody can win from him, that he did not fight for, and nobody can win from him. So if you did not fight for a title and earn it, you applied for it and they gave it to you, and nobody else can win it, that's not a championship. Same way that I would look at Vasily Lomachenko as not being the WBC champion, because the WBC champion is Devin Haney, who has the belt. And if somebody beats Devin Haney, they can win it from Devin Haney. That's Gervonta Davis. That's the layout of the 135-pound division. There's also Teofimo Lopez. Now, while Gervonta Davis is not a champion, Gervonta Davis is the man at 135 pounds. The man at 135 pounds. And is that a good thing for boxing? I do not think that it is. Is it a fact in boxing? I do believe that it is, because we are hanging, what's that phrase? Hoisted on your own petard, right? Basically is a saying that means that you did it to yourself, okay? Now, boxing should be about what us boxing fans say should be about the best fighting the best. But that only depends on whether or not you like the fighter, apparently, because if you don't like the fighter, then boxing is a business and it's all about the money, right? It's all about the money. It ain't about, it's about who's putting the most butts in the seats. Boxing is a business. It's about who's entertaining, who's getting the knockouts, who's doing that, right? Right? Isn't that what they say? Isn't that what they say when you try to find a reason not to give Guillermo Rigondeaux a shot at the title, or not to give Gary Russell Jr., not to have, for fighters not to fight Gary Russell Jr., or not to fight Jermall Charlo, or not to fight Demetrius Andrade, right? Or for a long time, not to fight Deontay Wilder. Isn't that what they said? It's about who puts the butts in the seats. Who's the most known fighter? It's a business. It's about entertainment, right? What boxing is about morphs depending on who the person talking is and who they're talking about, right? But, and Gervonta Davis shows it, because like I said, Gervonta Davis has 0 belts at 135. None. That secondary belt garbage, he has no belt at 135. Other than he might as well be holding up his pants with that WBA regular title, okay? It's not a belt. But according to the definition that I just gave you, that people continually use over and over and over again when they want to tell you why Canelo Alvarez is the man in the face of boxing, right? Even though he's only fought one guy at 160 in his own, how many guys has he fought at 160? Right? That actually are in his own weight class, right? He's the WBA super champion and he's fighting at 175, fighting at 168. Divisions ain't stripping him because he's the money man in boxing, right? Well, Gervonta Davis is saying the same thing about lightweight. I'm the man at lightweight, F a belt, because I sold out a stadium in Los Angeles. I've sold out a stadium in Georgia. I've sold out a stadium in New York. I've sold out a stadium in Maryland. I'm the only person that can sell out arenas in 4 different major cities in the United States, while Vasily Lomachenko and other guys in that championship division are fighting in front of 3,000 and 4,000 people in ballrooms. So, because Gervonta Davis is the man financially in the lightweight division, and there's no doubt about it, there's nobody below, unless you're talking about maybe Monster Inoue in Japan. Maybe if you're talking about somebody in Japan fighting, but that's not bringing the money like it's bringing in the United States. And even Monster Inoue ain't selling out 4 different cities in Japan. And he's not a lightweight. But regardless, Vasily, as far as the money goes, in below 147 pounds, Gervonta Davis is the cash cow of boxing below 135 pounds, and there's nobody even close to him. Nobody at 140, nobody at 135, nobody at 130, nobody. So what he's saying must be true, that he's the man, and that's why everybody wants to fight him, right? And he's telling the truth about that, because I have literally heard everybody talking about him. I've seen Teofimo Lopez and Rolly Romero sitting up having live stream chats about him. Like, dog, I thought you were the champ, Teofimo. What you bumping your lips about Gervonta Davis for? I haven't heard Gervonta Davis say next to nothing about you, but they stay on Gervonta Davis because Gervonta Davis is the cash cow, because Gervonta Davis is not the smoke and mirrors. He's the real thing, right? And I mean real thing as far as the amount of money you're putting into the system. And it was a beautiful job done by Floyd Mayweather Jr., which I suspect is going to continue. Floyd Mayweather Jr. shifted from the type of promoter that was like, yeah, we're going to make fights. My fighters are going to earn their way up the rankings. They're going to take tough fights, right? So you wind up having Badu Jack getting a bunch of draws against guys that he probably should have won because, probably Floyd Mayweather Jr. didn't have his politics right. Yeah, Mickey Bay was a champion at a time, put him in there tough or whatever. With Gervonta, he got a super talent with Gervonta Davis, and Gervonta Davis, he's feeding guys to Gervonta Davis that are good fighters, that have names, have accolades on their resume, but are eventually going to wind up asleep on the mat. And the more he does that, the more Gervonta Davis is going to grow, because Gervonta Davis is an extremely exciting fighter, and Floyd Mayweather Jr. is an extremely well-known promoter and fighter himself. So when he's going to promote him, he's already got the name recognition. He's already there. So there you go. I guess by the way that most of the boxing world can, or mainstream media or AJ fans or Canelo fans or whatever fan of boxers trying to find a way to screw over another fighter and not give them a fight, then you shouldn't be saying anything about what Gervonta just said about the lightweight division. Because if I was judging it on my criteria, right, which is who is the man, well, who's the best fighter at 135 pounds? Well, we know that Vasily Lomachenko holds 2 of the belts. He did hold 3 of the belts. He's probably the most accomplished in his career. It's either going to be him, Teofimo Lopez, or Devin Haney. Is going to be one of the champions, right? That would be too much like right, okay? But that's not what it is. So you'll see, for example, when the news comes out that if the news comes out that Mikey Garcia is going to fight, if that Manny Pacquiao is going to fight Mikey Garcia, then hey, man, Manny Pacquiao's the cash cow. Manny Pacquiao gets to fight whoever he wants, wherever he wants, whenever he wants. It doesn't matter because he's the guy bringing the money to the table. Errol Spence Jr. he would be bringing more money to the table, but Manny don't need him. Mikey Garcia, and matter of fact, Mikey Garcia is the reason why Errol sold all them tickets to begin with. Maybe that's why Manny Pacquiao thinks he need to be fighting Mikey Garcia. Maybe he's one of the guys that believe that it was Mikey Garcia that sold out Dallas Stadium. It would also be incredibly ironic if they brought that fight over there. But anyway, I just wanted to go through that because look, Gervonta Davis saying that he is the number one lightweight in the world and that all of these other lightweights world revolves around him. At first cut, it could seem on the merits like, oh man, come on, dude, they're the champions. You should be trying to fight for their belt. But that's not what boxing is morphed into. Boxing is morphed into, it's the guy that can sell the most tickets. It's the guy that, or maybe it's always been like that with the selling the tickets because they've always had to sell tickets. And actually, this crap has been like this since the 1700s. This is nothing new. But I'm still going to just put it in the face. I'm still going to put it in the face of Manny Pacquiao fans and Canelo Alvarez fans and Anthony Joshua fans and these people that are going to be or Lomachenko fans, right, who are going to use this as a way to detract from Gervonta Davis. Ain't no detracting. Pick which one you want. Do you think the money is important or do you think the fights are going to be important? Because if the fights and who the best fighter is important, then make Canelo Alvarez fight Jermall Charlo. Call for Canelo Alvarez to fight Demetrius Andrade. If fighting is what it's about and who the best fighter is, then make sure Josh Warrington fights Gary Russell Jr. Make sure Monster Inoue fights Guillermo Rigondeaux, because that's how you would say these are the best fighters. Because Monster Inoue is at 118, so is Guillermo Rigondeaux. Guillermo Rigondeaux has never lost a fight below 130. You know what I mean? And this is at 118. You call for those fights. But if you're not calling for those fights, don't get on Gervonta Davis for playing the game that you support when it's in your best interest. Anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the video, about the subject matter. Also, hey, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell icon. Also, definitely, if you're a Patreon, check out the Patreon video we're going to drop today and leave a comment. Thank you to everybody that watches on the live streams and is a member to the channel. And with that, we're out. Peace.